Welcome back to the channel, guys. So, as some of you know from the last video, I'm trying to make a transition from World of Tanks into War Thunder, and it's been quite the experience so far. I thought, a lot of my skills I had in World of Tanks would translate, and what I have found is some of my best habits in World of Tanks have ended up being some of my worst habits and liabilities in War Thunder, so that has been kind of interesting trying to unlearn some things I've been doing for several years at this point. So, but another thing that's been quite interesting is players have been more than willing to offer advice, even getting in chat with me to explain how some things work. And that's been amazing, to be honest. That is not something that happens in World of Tanks ever. They'll tell you to just dig your own grave before somebody will help you. But with that being said, I want to go over some of the best advice I've been given, I think, and that's helped me the most, and some of the worst advice I've gotten. Now, I don't think anybody has given me bad advice intentionally. I think actually the advice, depending on what your goals were for the game, have all been good. But as a new player getting into the game, I wanted to kind of cover that. And number one on the list is buying a top tier premium tank. This wasn't actually horrible advice in itself necessarily, because you can grind the entire tree from one tank. But it's actually turned out to be quite bad advice because you end up skipping a lot of the game. And what I found is, unlike World of Tanks, where basically all the lower tiers are just dead. I mean, you can easily get in bot games if you're playing a tier 5 or lower. Just no one plays those tiers. Actually, all the tiers in War Thunder are played, and you have different people that enjoy different aspects of it. And so the community is kind of strong all the way through, and that's been kind of interesting, and I've actually enjoyed it. So what I've started doing is taking what I think is some of the best advice I've gotten, and that's just enjoy the grind. So right now, I have a lineup that's from 6.3 to 5.3 with a couple of 5.7s, and reasonably competitive. And I'm trying to get these other tanks kind of up some BR levels and keep a even lineup as I go up through the tree. And that's actually been one of the most helpful things to me, is the advice is just enjoy the grind. Some other bad advice I think I've gotten: just play the Swedish line because they have the best in-game tanks. Apparently this is largely seen as true. Some people probably have different opinions of that, but here's the thing. I don't really have a connection with the Swedes. And if I was grinding it up, I don't know, do I really want to just be in the end game? I don't know. A lot of players seem to like that mid-tier or early Cold War, and you don't know till you've kind of ground up one of the lines. So currently I'm working on the German tanks and the Russian tanks kind of at the same time, kind of bouncing back and forth, just kind of enjoying them as I grind up. And I found that once you get all the field mods and stuff, they're all pretty enjoyable. So I don't know what tier or BR level is going to be my favorite, but as I make my way up kind of slowly, which I have realized is going to be slow now, I'm just going to enjoy it. So what's some other good advice I've had? And it's actually the engine sound. And I didn't realize this when I started playing, but because, well, one, I had my engine volume up and the enemy player's engine volume up, and so I couldn't really hear them over my own tank. But I was reading through the comments, and someone said, yeah, turn that all the way down and turn the enemy players up. And now I can actually hear the enemy tanks coming. I've been able to set up at corners and shoot them as they drive by, because one, I heard them coming. So that's been actually some really good advice. So what's some other bad advice I've been given? One, I made a comment that I thought World of Tanks might have had better graphics. The more I play World of Thunder, the less I think that's actually the case. But I had someone tell me, turn all of the graphics up to max because the game's just more enjoyable to look at and play that way. And at least for me, this turned out not to be the case, because what I found was all of a sudden I couldn't really see things. Like the shadow quality is a great example, because what happens when I turn it up, some of the rooms and stuff get darker, and what I was finding was happening were tanks were kind of blending in with the background, and that turned out not to be a very good thing when it's see first, shoot first kind of gameplay. But some other really good advice people gave me is they were talking about the tree range, and they were saying, "Oh, turn them down, and you'll have a much easier time seeing tanks." That turned out to be true, as well as grass range. I've had people tell me, "Oh, turn the grass down," and yeah, it made a difference. Even so, I've kind of gotten rid of all the shadows that I could, brightened up the map a little bit. It's made it a lot easier to see enemy tanks, as well as, you know, a lot of people recommended removing the grass in sniper mode, which I'd already done. So all those things actually worked out really well. But one thing I found trying to play at max graphics while my rig could do it, it turned out not to be the most competitive way for me to play the game. So what's some good advice I've gotten? Don't be so aggressive. So this is one of those skills that didn't translate very well from World of Tanks. In World of Tanks, I'm very known for just taking a very aggressive position where I know I'm going to be brawling it out. What I have found in War Thunder is what'll happen is you end up pushing past your team, and even if you get to knock out a tank, which is there's an if when you do that, you'll quickly get flanked and killed. So definitely being more passive. And what I found is I went from being passive to reading comments and said, "Oh, you need to camp more." And then I started kind of camping where I didn't get shots. And what I found was there's this middle ground where I do need to advance, but it's kind of slow and methodical with my team. So as my team kind of advances up, I advance with them. And once we've taken an objective, I find a good position that I can kind of oversee it, sort of, or get it, a line of fire from the routes that they have to kind of take into the objective, and just shoot them as they come in. And that's been one of the things that's kind of helped me the most is understanding what people mean by, kind of camping and being patient. And patience has definitely paid off and kind of it's helped me improve. Still not where I'd like to be, but it's getting better. So back to some really positive advice. So one thing I was struggling with in planes, especially in the realistic mode, was actually dogfighting. I was terrible at it. I couldn't hit anything. And what I had a player suggest I do is go play the arcade version for a bit. And that way I can kind of get an idea of how far I need to lead tanks not tanks, planes, sorry. And what I found is actually after, an hour or two of just playing the arcade and air battles, I was able to go into realistic battles, and all of a sudden I could actually score some kills and was getting some hits. And that has actually been pretty good. I'm actually getting, 2 to 3 kills a match now. And I feel good about that. So, that I found, arcade has its place. I even found the arcade to be helpful somewhat in the tank version because I could get an idea better how much I need to actually elevate my gun to shoot tanks at a distance. And once I kind of went back into realism mode, that actually kind of translated. I was just look at a target and I could just kind of visually, oh, he's about X far. I just kind of aim this high and the shell kind of hits. So that's been quite nice, actually, taking advantage a little bit of the arcade and the, almost as a tutorial to get better in the realism mode. So that was pretty good advice. Thanks. So what's some other good advice I've gotten? Don't take so much ammo. I know, seems obvious. If you've been playing War Thunder for a while, that makes perfect sense. Only take, 16 rounds or so. But in World of Tanks, I've had matches where I literally run out of ammo, and you just carry as much ammo as you possibly can in a tank. Like, you would never consider not bringing all the ammo that you could. So when I initially started playing, it was pretty common. I was getting the top popped off my tanks, and I was like, wow, these tanks have really weak ammo racks. I just didn't understand. So I actually appreciate people pointing out that don't fill your tank with ammo, and you won't get ammo racks so much. I still get one shot a lot, don't get me wrong, but I do survive a lot more than I was, for sure. So one thing, a lot of people have been giving me advice on crew skills, and I think all of it makes sense. No one's told me anything I think is wrong. So that's been good. I kind of understand what keen vision is now. Field repairs a little bit better, how tank driving actually kind of works in this game. that's been some people kind of got in chat just to kind of broke it down for me, and what it was a lot to take in, but that I mean, like I said, I've been blown away by all the help and advice people have been giving me trying to learn the game as quickly as I can. Still a very steep learning curve, but yeah, I'm having fun, and I'm not upset at all about making this change. So I look forward to doing some more videos. I probably won't be making any guides for a long time because I'm not good enough to make guides, and I'm not arrogant enough to think that I am. So, but hey, I do plan some fun videos. I am a big history buff, so who knows? Maybe I do some reviews on the history of these tanks. I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but I'm looking forward to it. And thanks for all your support, guys, and hope to see you in some matches.